Welcome, all you beautiful people. Welcome to the Elite Business Coaching session. I would ask if you guys could do me a huge favor and just mute yourselves as we kick things off. Welcome. Just letting everybody in. Man, oh man, are you guys in for a treat? This is exciting on so many levels. But I got to hold back a little bit because I'm here for all of you. And this is not about me, but I will tell you, all of you are incredible, special people. I've chatted with all of you guys. Yes, that was me. Some of you guys are like, but you wrote the book on how to buy back your time. Why would you chat with people on the internet? I've got this like fun little thing I do once in a while, and it's doing things that don't scale because they make me happy. And I will tell you, the opportunity to get to know my audience and to get to know a lot of you guys are friends, which is great. So having my friends in here, part of this, first time ever. I've never done anything for non-software CEOs, and I am just freaking excited. So this one, since it is our first call, I am going to set some ground rules. They're non-negotiable. So just be sure to follow them because I will remind you as soon as you infract on them. Because I'm a loving dude, but I'm going to hold you accountable to a level of performance and standard and execution that maybe you're not used to. So first off, if you have any questions around billing, scheduling, you have questions for me, etc., do not message me on social media. Do not send me a text message. Do not chat with me directly. That's not the best place. If it's a billing question, if it's a schedule question, email support@danmartel.com. That is the best place, okay? Because I am here to coach. I'm not here to administrate. So please do that via support@danmartel.com. Because this thing kicked off last week, I literally opened it up, had conversations with all of you guys for this call. There's a lot of infrastructure that's being built. So I would ask that you have a bit of patience with the team and I as we kind of, build this as we go. But I wasn't going to hold back. I wasn't going to stop from having the opportunity to serve all of you guys. So that's why you're all here. So I would ask for a little bit of grace while we get things going. But we are going to be launching the Mighty community, and that will have all the recordings, the achievement framework that I use for goal setting and process. We'll talk more about that as we go. But essentially, the way I want you to think about this is a 3-year private coaching program, the highest level. Like normally, if you guys weren't aware, it's $250,000 a year, wire transfer, paid up front. There's no payment plans. There's no discounting, et cetera. If you want to work with me privately, that's the level of investment. And essentially what we're going to do together is we're going to unpack a lot of the strategies, the mindset, the rituals that I work with my private clients for all of you. Okay. So do I have the tactical answers on how to buy back your time and scale your businesses? Yes. Is that the thing that's going to serve you the most? No. It's the chocolate broccoli. I know what you all need because I've been in exactly all of your spots in your positions. And it's not sometimes more doing how-tos tactics. It's literally holding you accountable to a higher level and standard for yourself. So all the things that I've mentioned that we will be delivering, like the new Buy Back Your Time course, I'll probably be shooting next month. If not, then it'll have to be July because June I'm pretty much out. But it will be coming and it will blow your minds. Like it's going to be the best of the best. Okay. And then also, I do plan on, creating some level of self-directed, meaning it's on you all to self-coordinate groups of individual masterminds outside of these calls. This call is for me with all of you, but I know a lot of you are social butterflies like myself. And I'll be honest with you, like some of the most value I've gotten from the coaches that I've worked with is meeting some of the other coachees, mentees, and building my own little accountability group, et cetera. It's not part of the program, but it's definitely something I'm going to facilitate. So next week, we're going to have an intake survey that's going to go out so that we can kind of collect all your guys' specific information. And then if you guys want, you can double opt in that survey to be recommended some other folks on this call. But before we get going much further, can everybody just light up the chat and just type where you're connecting from? I just want to get a sense of geography right now. You guys could all post in the chatty chat where you're all connecting from. Look at that. It's a global community. This is perfect. Ireland, Texas, Toronto. Amazing. Cool. Dave Ruel. Where's my buddy Dave? Dave, I'm going to put you to work, bro. I'm going to make you co-host. And then that way, if you see anybody jump in after the fact, you can let them in. Is that cool, Dave?
Let's do it, brother.
The man. Cool. So there's that. Let me just look at my notes. I had a bunch of stuff I want to make sure house cleaning. The schedule for next week is a little fluid. I'll tell you why. I couldn't have launched this at a worse time. My assistant went on vacation literally the day I did my Instagram post and started chatting with all of you guys. She went on vacation. She gets back today. As you know, she owns my calendar, so I'm not allowed to make any calendar plans. So this week, this call was scheduled. Next week, I'm in Moab, mountain biking with a bunch of entrepreneurs and doing a bunch of other stuff. So I will get you guys the time for next week, but I do anticipate this call being moved up earlier in the day, right? I would prefer to have it around 11 a.m. PST. So if that creates a conflict, again, email support@danmartel.com and the team will try to figure it out. All calls are going to be recorded. I wasn't originally going to do that, but I'm going to be dropping stuff on here that I really need you guys to absorb, and I don't want it to get lost. So we will be recording the calls, specifically the first part of the call. The way I coach is very framework based and performance based, because I believe at the end of the day, what I want to teach you how to do is how to show up and perform when it matters. Okay. And I think too often in business, the issue is not the strategies and the tactics and what to do next. It's who are you in those moments, right? If you don't have the right rituals and process to show up the way you need to in that moment, to pull vocabulary, okay? Write that down, pull vocabulary so that you can bring a new hire, a new customer, a new partner on board into your world, a new opportunity, because you did not create the performance of a person who can achieve, then that's the thing holding you back. Some of you guys, I know all of you know that there's more for you. It's why you reached out. It's why you want to work together with me. And I'm excited to have you here because I'm going to give you 110%. And unfortunately, I just don't have other places in my world. If you're not aware, I run a $100 million fund with my business partner, Kevin. I'm an investor in like 70 plus companies. I sit on boards of $100 million companies. I run a multiple 8-figure coaching business in SaaS Academy. And I wrote this book because it was a gift to everybody. And in many ways, it was to buy back my time because I kept sharing this stuff. And some of you guys have been on the receiving end of these conversations of like, here's how I do it. And here's how I think about it. And now I get the privilege of working with all of you guys in this capacity to help you guys grow your dreams and move you forward. And I am going to hold you to that standard. Okay. So when some of you guys want to talk about like the nitty gritty today stuff, I'm going to hold you to the future, to the vision, to what we're creating together. I'm going to pull you forward. Okay. I'm going to ask you to focus on the positivity of where we want to go. What are we trying to create together? Because it's being able to pull that vision, hold yourself to that outcome that's going to be a game changer for all of you. Okay. So with that, I just want to check in with you all. Post in the chat. What word, what feeling do you have right now? I want to hear from everybody. Type it in the chat. This is an interactive coaching session. Stoked, excited, pumped. Come on, type it in the chat. How you guys feeling today? You guys a little tired? Game time excited, ready? There's my people. I knew it. You guys are amazing. This is great. Sweet. All right. So everybody should have, and there is daily habits that I'm just working with my team to build out a way to track. But there will be a standard of daily habits that I'm going to ask every person on this call to adhere to. That is part of this coaching. It was in the offer, and I'll be announcing those probably in a couple of weeks once we figure out how to track it all for you. But one of those habits is to stay hydrated. So everybody should be drinking at least 3 liters of water every day. If you do have your water bottle next to you, just hold it up in front of the camera. I want to reward and recognize those people. If you have your water bottle, there we go. Patrick, amazing. Who else? Who else has got their hydration flask sitting there? Come on. All right. Big opportunities, team. We got to get you all hydrated. Okay. Most people are walking around the earth dehydrated and they're wondering why they don't feel 10 out of 10. The energy level is not there. I know why. Starts with the hydration. That's one. Number two is come prepared. Have a journal. Be ready to take notes. This is not a sit back and listen call. I'm a full contact, give you 110% type of guy. And I expect to see people writing things down. Every once in a while, I'm going to ask you to post it in the chat. In those moments, please do that. But we're going to dive in and I'm going to ask everybody to draw out the frameworks that I'm going to teach. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. Okay. Coaching questions. The way we're going to do that is the reactions tab below. I'll tell you more when we get into that. So everybody grab a journal, grab a piece of paper. Let's kick into it. Today, we're going to kick it off with one of my favorite things to teach, which is the 10X Vision Amplifier. All right. So everybody should see my iPad. The 10X Vision Amplifier. When I was starting off, I built a company called Spheric, and that company I started when I was 24 years of age was my third company. Okay. Some people are like, hey, Dan, seems like everything you've ever done has been successful. Man, if you all knew the amount of pain and dirt and blood and just failure that I had to absorb before I finally had any level of success, it's actually embarrassing because I started at 17. At 17 years old, I taught myself to code. I got clean. I ended up in rehab, and it was the thing that saved my life. But I started a company then. I started a company for my dad. It was called Maritime Vacation, and that thing fell apart. Then I did another one with my brother called NB Host, and I tried. This isn't like side hustle. Okay. I just want you guys all to know this is like full on, like this is what I want to do with my life, full on business, and tried everything. I showed up. I thought I was doing all the right things. And then that company failed. And then I went consulting for a long time, just doing custom and development for big companies, small companies, and just trying to find myself. I was like, honestly, it started to eat away at my confidence. There was a point in my life in my early 20s where I was like, maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I should just find a team. Maybe I should go, do something different. And luckily I found a coach. I read the book, The E-Myth, and I found this incredible dude named Bob. He had a big background in financial services industry. And Bob taught me about the business rhythms. He taught me about best practices. He taught me how to read a P&L statement. He taught me how to think about distribution and marketing and sales and all these things that as a software technical person, I didn't have experience in. And one of the things that we started off with that I've over the years gotten really, really good at is having a crystal clear vision. And I talk about it in the book. It's called the 10X Vision Map, and everybody should do that. But what I want to double click on is how do you take your vision and make it a today thing? This is going to be next level. You guys haven't heard this from anybody else. I'm going to share stuff with you in this group that is going to transform your life. Okay. This is going to be awesome. I'm just so pumped to be sharing it with you guys. Like, I haven't had an outlet. I try to share a lot of stuff on social media. Some of my friends say, I'm posting too much. I'm like, if you think I'm too much now, you just wait and see. I'm just getting started. But the 10X Vision Amplifier is just these 3 core areas that I audit myself on a daily basis to say, are these things true? And to the degree they're true, they will act as a magnet to pull what I want to create forward. Okay. So on the right side, it's the 10.0 version of yourself. Okay. And we're just going to leave it at that for today, but just write 10.0 version of you. Okay. That vision, let me describe this person. In the best moment of your life, when you absolutely crushed it, in your heart, you felt a certain way about you. That version of you, that is the 10.0 version of yourself. In those moments of unlimited aspiration, confidence, resourcefulness, that is the 10.0 version of you. When you were hitting the gym, when you were the fittest version of yourself, when you were showing up, being able to pull vocabulary, you felt in flow. Okay. That was the 10.0 version of yourself. So I really need you to think through, because some of you are going to have to pull parts of this from different places in your life. Maybe you were the fittest you've ever been when you were in high school. Maybe you made the most money 3 years ago. Maybe you felt super in flow 6 months ago when you're on stage and you got off, and as soon as you're off, it was like you could do no harm, and it was just the most amazing experience. That is the 10.0 version of yourself. That's what we need to focus on. Okay. So I just want you to write down, but that is the whole point of my coaching, is to work with people to create, to achieve, to sustain, to perform from that place. That is the focus. Okay. To get there, that is the vision. We're going to pull that vision towards you. And the way that we do this, it's 3 core areas. Okay. I call it the vision, the belief, and the time. Okay. Write those down. 1 is the vision. The vision is having crystal clarity for what you're trying to create. Crystal clarity. The reason why most people can't achieve is because they're not specific. They actually don't know what they want. They're not able to ask with clarity. Imagine if you went to somebody and you're like, hey, I'd like to be healthier. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And you're like, I don't know. I just want to be healthier. Well, what does healthier mean for you? And they just reply, healthier. I want to be more successful. What does that mean? Successful. I want to be successful. People say this to me all day long. What I want to hear is that you have crystal clarity around these areas, around your lifestyle, around your fitness, around your relationships, around your money, around the way you feel, right? To me, I coach against feelings. I coach against mindset. I coach against performance, about being that person that can live into that. So number 1 is we have to have a clear vision. Number 2 is we have to actually have a belief. See, some of us, and this is what's fun for me, is over the years, when I look at, like, when I started off, I got super lucky that I read a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And in there, he talks about creating a vision for your business. And I created this like 10 slide deck. And it was at the time, it was my BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, was a team of 50 people, 5 continents around the world. Okay. That was my big, hairy, audacious goal, that I thought if I could accomplish this in my life, that I would be quote unquote successful. I've done that many times over. That's not even, but at the time when I drew it out, did I believe it 100% all the time? Nope. Were there moments where I felt it? Yep. When I was in my power, when I was full of confidence, when I was honoring the person I knew I could become. Yes, I had these moments of belief, right? But did I believe it at 100%? Sometimes no. Sometimes it was 20%, 50%, 70%. Okay. There's 3 dimensions if you want to create your vision into your life that we have to focus on. The first one is have clarity around vision. The second one is have 100% belief. And the third is time. Write this down. These 3, this is stuff that is literally 25 years of building companies, reading all the top books, having incredible coaches in my life, and pulling it down and distilling it into these frameworks that I'm here at the beginning of every one of these calls, these 10, 15-minute frameworks that's going to set the tone for you to reflect, how am I showing up? Time is, at what percent of the time am I in crystal clear vision and belief? So think about that. What percent of my day, if I'm awake for 16 hours in my day, was I 100% in belief and 100% clear of what I want to create and 100% certain that I was going to do that? And that's why this is a multiplier effect. If you have crystal clear vision of what your 10.0 version of yourself is, and you hold the belief in your heart with certainty that is so freaking real that you know you can do it, and hold that belief throughout the day, 16 hours, nonstop, without flinching. That's the opportunity, right? So I want you to check in with yourself. Do you have a crystal clear vision for what you want to create? Do you, in your soul, believe that? Or is there doubt that creeps in? And do you hold that belief true throughout the whole day, the whole week, the whole month? Or, unfortunately, do you stumble? Do you have moments where you start second guessing yourself and you downward spiral around these areas? Because I'm telling you, the moment that I was auditing myself and asking myself, vision, belief, time, these are amplifiers. That's when the whole thing changed. That's when the creation around me started to just happen, where the collaborations would just present themselves. The right partners would just show up, the right moments and conversations and tools and tactics. The more that you can have crystal clear vision, hold the belief that it's true for as much as possible as the time, you will pull that 10.0 version and 10.9 lifestyle and business into your reality. Okay. Another way to think about it is this. If I gave you $10 million, I wrote you a wire, I'm not even going to write you a check. I'm going to give you a money order. Okay. It's real money. It's just paper. How would you feel if you got that $10 million? That's the feeling, right? The certainty. I gave you a money order, right? I give it to you. You've got it. And now you go to the bank and the bank says, hey, this is awesome. Congratulations. I don't know who would give you $10 million, but that's really cool. But it's not going to clear for 10 days. Okay. So for 10 days, you're walking around the world in your life. You're walking around, you're interacting with your friends and your parents and your coworkers, and you know you got $10 million coming. That vibe, that feeling is what I'm talking about when I talk about the 10X vision amplifier, right? Like, to amplify pulling that vision forward, you have to act as if that future is already here, just like that $10 million is already in your bank account and you're just waiting for the bank to clear it. And to the degree you can do that, I'm telling you, it will create that outcome. So I want you to write down in the chat, what did you like about this? What did you need to hear today? What did you learn? I want to hear from everybody in the chatty chat. What did you like? What did you learn? What did you need to hear? Love that, Patrick. Cian, definitely need to hear this about beliefs. Awesome. Chris. Yep. It's already here. Rachel, time part was interesting. Yep. It's that creation. Jason, awesome. Sarah, let's go. Everybody in the chat. Caitlin, Matt, amazing. No wisdom downtime. Nope. Crystal clear vision. Awesome. You guys are great. This is fun. Super fun. You guys are picking it up. I was not gonna lie, I was a little concerned. Some of this stuff is pretty advanced. And if you're at the early stages of your journey, I have folks on here that are 100K. I have other folks that are literally 15 million in revenue. Okay. But this is the universal truths of growth. And we're going to talk about it next call. I'm going to share with you my growth framework. It's the ACEs model, attract, convert, expand, scale. So every one of these calls, we're going to talk about different stages of that model. And I'm going to kick off the call. So some of you guys may need the marketing support. We're going to do that. Some of you it's sales, some of you guys it's operations, some of you guys it's people. And every call is going to kick off with a framework that's going to help you get crystal clarity about opportunities where you need to invest more time and energy. I love it. I love it. Cool. With that, we're going to open it up for some coaching, some questions. So if you have a question, here's how we do it. Click the reactions tab below and raise your hand. And then I'm going to call on you. Just hit raise hand just like that. See how my hand's up? Just in the Zoom sessions, go to reactions. We're going to get through as many as we can on the call. So when you come on, I'm going to mute you, or you're going to mute yourself, and then you're just going to introduce yourself and ask your question. And then I will double click and ask you more questions to be able to help. So if you guys have questions, just click the reactions tab below and raise your hand. Nihal, I'm assuming you have a question. Are you there?
Yes, I do. I couldn't find
Sweet.
Raise hand.
All right, man. Hit me.
Awesome. The question is on the time part, the percentage of time that you're living in that 10.0 vision is, how do you look at that? If you could share more on that.
Yeah, I mean, so if we just did a 1 out of 10, right? Like, do you feel super confident and clear vision right now in this moment on what you're trying to create? And if it's no, there's no shame, there's no foul. I'm just curious, like, if you check in your heart right now, what would you rate yourself out of 10?
Like 7.
Yeah. And there's probably moments, and it might be after you journal, after you watch some motivating content, maybe you read something or a conversation where you're more like an 8, 9, or 10, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. What you want to do is figure out, and this is why it's all about performance, what happened to get you to a 10, and then ask yourself, this is why in my book, I talk about time and energy, right? You guys are getting the advanced stuff. I love what I wrote in here, but I'll be honest with you guys, this is 101. Okay. This is the foundation, and there's a 201 and a 301, and then an infinity level. Okay. I'm going to try to get you some 201s and 301 level stuff. So Nihal, the concept of like trying to understand what is true before you felt a 9 or a 10, and then understanding how you structure your time so that you can hold that throughout your day over time in the 9 or 10 will be your ability to create your vision. And so you want to look at, what if I got down to a 2, if I got into this negative spiral and negative belief and limiting beliefs are starting to come up, and, why am I thinking this way? What happened? What conversation did you have? What habit did you miss that day? What routine is missing? And it's in that moment that you're going to start realizing, oh, I got to piece this together completely different if I want to hold that true, right? So now you're just aware of it. Oftentimes what I try to bring to my clients is an awareness of their thought, an awareness of their performance. Now you're aware, right? You can always check in with yourself. You know what? 10 out of 10, how am I feeling around belief and vision and clarity and stuff? It's like, fuck, man, I feel like a 6 right now. Why isn't it a 10? I had a 10. Like, I felt yesterday, I felt strong. I felt like I was crushing. I felt everything's good. It's like, okay, what's missing? So really it's to figure out when you felt great, what happened before, when you didn't, what happened before. Do less of the stuff that takes your energy or takes you out of that flow or out of that vision, and more of the stuff that gets you into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Based on that, I want to ask you, what's one thing or activity or habit or ritual that gets you into that you can make a commitment to me that you'll do more?
The thing that really gets me in that state is in the morning, just deleting stuff off my calendar, canceling meetings that are like 5s or 7s that push, and what usually stops me is like, I don't want to piss them off, or I made a commitment a week ago that I thought it was a priority, but it's not anymore, or it's not my priority anymore. And so those like compound for me and become those drainers.
100%. So what I'm hearing, and this is the commitment you're making, is you're gonna have a proactive approach to your calendar to make sure that you remove energy sucking activities or meetings or conversations so that it doesn't mess with your ability to hold that truth. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. So I have that system in place right now. My standard on that system is not very high. Like it's still
exactly
wishy-washy.
You're raising the standard.
Yeah.
I love it. Nihal, this is how we do it, everybody. Arms stretched out, fingers. This is how we celebrate. Okay, I'm going to do it for all of you guys. I'm going to wait till y'all do it. Don't be shy. Fingers out. Let some love to Nihal. This is awesome. You guys are great. Let's go. Awesome. Next up, we got Damien.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for putting this together.
Dude,
Could you double click on the concept of, I mean, it's kind of a follow-up question to what you just asked, but how, like, do you have any specific practices for how to keep that top of mind throughout the day? Is it like diving deep on the vision, maybe like first thing in the morning and like hyper, like getting deep into it, or are you checking in throughout the day to make sure that like you're still staying like as much time as possible in that, like in that future?
Totally.
Yeah, just like any specifics that you have.
Yeah, and it's a great question. So Damien, what we want to do, and this is why like it took me 15 years to really get to a place, like my life has just compounded exponentially in the last 7 years, really, right? Like it took me a while to find the rhythm, to start creating from a place that felt effortless, but guided, right? Like with direction. It's not like some people think like, you know, we get to a place where we just lean back and do nothing. Like, that's why like the subtitle of my book is, you know, get unstuck, reclaim your freedom, and build your freaking empire. It's not sit on a beach for 4 hours or a 4-hour work week. This is, and just for all you guys, since you guys are now my close personal friends, empire stands for a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. Write that one down. Empire equals a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. And I will teach you the 4 master skills of leverage to be able to create that unlimited creation component, right? So it took so long for me, Damien, to figure this out, because I would do the vision boards. I would do the, you know, the goal setting and SMART goals and all this stuff, but it still didn't produce the outcomes that I was looking for. And then when I started looking at the process through a different lens that I just shared with you guys in regards to the vision amplifier of vision, belief, and time, and I went through that process with Nihal, now I structure my life completely different. So I'll give you just one example, okay? Because it's really a self-auditing and it's personal for you. I review my vision for my life 3 to 4 or 5 times a day, okay? See, most people set goals and they might look at them once a year, okay? I've connected my goals to triggers in my life, and when I trigger them, I review them. And the beautiful part of it is sometimes people are scared of that because they're like, well, what if I review it and then I haven't made any progress? Well, what if you don't and you don't? Like, that's the truth. What if you just pretend like they don't exist so you don't look at them, okay? My whole thing is I want to review them, and then I allow that energy, I allow the creativity to come through me to then decide how I move those things forward. And it's beautiful because sometimes I'll be inspired by just reviewing them to send a text message to a friend. And there's no reason. I just am. And I don't question it. I literally just take action on it. Or to send an email or to schedule something or whatever it is. So yes, one part for me, and it would be, I would recommend it to you, Damien. And I talk about it in my achievement framework that I'll give you guys access to, is reviewing your goals like daily, multiple times, right? Is almost an alignment exercise, right? Where you get off track, because that's what I used to not do. Okay. But I was still good at it. I reviewed them every week. I'd make sure my calendar was ever good and all this stuff. But 2 or 3 times a day, connected to triggers, pulling me forward, making sure I was in flow, in vision, in belief. That's the next level for some of you. Okay. So I would invite you, if that resonates with you, consider adding some kind of trigger. Maybe it's every time you sit down at your desk, every time you go to the bathroom, every time you go get water, refill your thing. And in that moment, just pause and review your goals and just like believe it in your heart. That's how we create. That's how we pull the future forward into our reality. We got to go to that, you know, like the story I told you about $10 million in my bank account, but it's only available in 10 days. How would I act? How would I show up? How would I smile? How would I communicate? How would I be? If that was true, that's how you got to be. And if you don't know what you're trying to aim for, then every decision is going to be a little off. And to the degree that it's clear and directed, will be a game changer. Does that make sense, Damien? So what's the one commitment? Because this is a coaching conversation. What's the one commitment from you that you're going to get?
I've been doing them daily in the morning, and that's something that I found is just like later on in the day, especially like in the afternoon, I'll kind of have like a lag in energy and kind of get off my vision. You know, like I feel super energized and like on point and on focus in the beginning, but I think reviewing that throughout the day, is super
Literally
helpful.
3-4
So that's
times a
my
day.
commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
keep it top of mind. I love it. I want to hear from
Cool.
everybody else in the chat. What did you like about that? What did you hear? What connected for you? I want to hear from everybody in the chat based on my conversation with Damien. Light up the chat. Reviewing vision 3-5 times a day. Yep. Creating triggers. The triggers. You can set up timers in your phone. You can connect it to an activity. Check your goals on a daily trigger. Awesome. This is next level coaching, team. Like this stuff, nobody's talking about this because it's performance. This is awesome. You guys are great. Cool. Next up, we got Eleanor. Oh, let's give some love to Damien. Sorry, this is how we do it. Everybody, hands stretched out, fingers waving. Give him some love. Great question. He's bringing up exactly what needs to be discussed. Awesome. Love it, Caitlin. Trevor, very cool. Eleanor, you there?
Yes. Hey, everyone.
Perfect.
It's awesome to be here. Love it so far.
It's great to have you.
Question. So when you were talking about the time, and what proportion or what percentage of your time are you in full belief and full vision? The thing that comes up for me is like, the thing that starts to pull me out of that is when I can get kind of stuck in the how and also trapped in the details. So like we're doing product development, we're doing like all these different parts where I'm still having a bit of trouble releasing the details to the team. I'm not sure it's going to be done as well as I want it to be done. And so I'm there, and I find that definitely can pull me out of that place where I'm more in the future, or more sort of trying to bring the team and everything we're doing closer to that really clear vision that I have. So I'm curious about that, like how you deal with that when you still have to run the company, you're trying to work with the team to get them to execute on this. I'm curious anything you've got around that.
It's a beautiful question. And I love that you brought it up. And what's great about this group is everybody's question is going to unpack and create opportunities. Even if you never ask a question, oftentimes it's what's caught, not taught, right? And that's why I ask people to check in the chat. So I love that this question is going to serve a lot of people. So what happens oftentimes, Eleanor, and I used to be like this. I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest with you guys. I used to be the worst person to work for in the history of the world. 24 to 28 years old. I was a workaholic. I was a micromanager. I was incredibly emotional. I was super driven. I was scared shitless. I was so scared that we were going to fail that I would lash out at people that didn't show up with my level of energy. It's like, how could you not want to do this? And why did you say no to working on Saturday? And like all these crazy things. And what happened is leading for me came with a lot of emotional kind of like triggers in my body. I don't know if you've ever been on a call when somebody says something to you, they're like reporting back numbers to you or a project update, and you feel it inside and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel very good, right? And what I've discovered is it's because of a lot of, challenges that were coming up at the time around beliefs, their commitment levels, their performance, all these things. And what I've discovered for me is when I have to perform on that kind of level, I always attach it to the why. And that's the way I clear it. So Eleanor, here's the way that would look is in the future, if you're like doing project management and somebody reports something to you, or there's underperformance, or you get bad news and you have to give guidance and correction, do that and then connect it to the why. Connect it to the bigger vision, because it's in that moment that you get to remind yourself the real game that we're playing, right? It's the get to versus have to. Think about this. In our lives, if you've got to make breakfast for your kids, you got to make their sandwich for lunch, you can go from a have to, which feels like a chore, to a get to, which feels like a blessing. I get to feed my kids. I get to make their sandwich, right? And for me, when I'm, guiding teams around outcomes and there's underperformance or there's things that frustrate me, and then I guide them transformational leadership style, and I connect it to the why and the vision, man, does it ever, it releases it from me, and it communicates that energy to the person, right? And that's what creates the future, right? Look, that's why I say in my book, 80% done by somebody else is 100% fucking awesome. I didn't say fucking, but it is. It's really cool. Every hour that somebody else supports me for something I didn't have to do feeds my soul. I appreciate it. I'm crazy grateful. Does that mean there's never mistakes? No. So when I am giving guidance, when I am supporting people, I always tell them. Like this morning, I was talking to Betty. Okay, she's our house manager. And, she had a little thing that she kind of messed up and whatever. And I was giving her guidance, but then I kind of made a joke. I said, Betty, do you realize that I serve millions of people online through my social channels, thousands of people, and through my chats? And I was all excited for this call today. And I said, none of that would be possible if you weren't in our lives. And she's sitting in the kitchen and she's just like, really? I go, Betty, if you weren't in my life, I'd have to do all this stuff. And I wouldn't be able to be sitting here on Instagram chatting with these beautiful entrepreneurs that I know I could serve, and prepping for my calls and doing the thing that only I could do. Unless you want to get on video. I said that to her. Hey, Betty, you want to get on camera? Do you want to go serve? You want to create your message, get it out there? She's like, she kind of laughed. But see, that correction is tied to a bigger why, right? And it just helped me reconnect with my why. Do you see, Eleanor, could you see that me sharing that with her reconnected with my why by doing it that way? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's what I want to encourage you to consider, is no matter what's going on. I don't care if it's, sometimes I get like this with my banking partners, right? Like I'm a weird cat to have as a customer. Okay. Like my wealth management guy, Roberto, he manages like the family office and stuff. And like, I talk to him like this, and I'm sure his other clients don't, but I'm like, hey man, you're helping create an empire that's going to serve a lot of people. And I just appreciate it. I know they messed up and they put the money in the wrong account, and you're going to get it fixed. And I appreciate you guys acknowledge that and all that. But hey man, I'm here to remind you that you're supporting me. And here's what I get to do every day. And this is what I'm trying to do with my life. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am and the support. So it allows you to hold that vision and that belief true for a larger part of your day when you do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is really powerful. My team, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to add, I know, and this is a beautiful part of what I do on this call. I'm going to help all you guys be incredibly successful. Like that's a given. You guys are all going to, 10X investment and build incredible businesses and all that stuff. But what I'm most excited is the people that work with you guys that I'll never get to meet, that I know you will become better for. Like that actually like lights my heart on fire. Like I know that you will lead people in a different lens with a different energy and a different approach. And I'll never get to meet them, and that's totally fine. But that's why I love doing the work I get to do. So Eleanor, I want to ask you, what's one commitment you're going to make to me as your coach, and everybody else? I want to ask you what you took away from my conversation with Eleanor in the chat, please.
For me, there's an add-on that I have to go. I'm going to add in Slack right after as like an addendum to a piece of feedback I offered earlier. That I think will really help. And it's crazy because it goes, even thinking about it, I go from being a little frustrated. Why don't they get this, to possibility filled. Yeah. So I'm going to go make a change after we get off this call.
I love it. For Eleanor, everybody's give her some love. That's how we do it. Thanks guys for lighting up the chat. Again, when you share your truth, your takeaways, you're helping other people see a different perspective on what is shared. And it's what's caught, not taught. This call is fire. I love it. Adam, you're next.
Let's do it. Eleanor, that was a great question. This is kind of on top of that one, Dan, is I have a tendency at times to be a speed demon and just fly through things. We've got about 62 people in our organization right now. And I'd say of the leadership team here, the question is, vision is there, belief is there. Time, I'm going to continue to practice in the time space, though my intention is for my team to feel that as well, right? My intention is for my team to step into that 16-hour commitment with that vision and with that overall tenacity to bringing that to life. And we have part of the vision statement that we have is to serve and impact 100 million people. And every time we bring in a new coach into our organization, they're like, Adam, how are you going to do that? And I'm 100% by faith, and it will happen, right? It's just a matter of time and the right resources. So
it's already happened, Adam. That's the big freaking
right. That's right.
That's the cool part. It's already happened.
The question there is, I've got right and left hands, right? I've got these people that I believe that they believe in the vision, though not for 16 hours, right? If we're putting a hard, true time on it, not for 16 hours. What would you recommend in that space? And I think you answered probably 85% of it there with Eleanor. What would you suggest there?
Yeah, I have a unique perspective on this, is because when I started off and I built Spheric, I was all about the SOPs, right? My coach was a certified E-Myth coach. It was all about creating standard operating procedures and what they call the franchise prototype. So I thought if I just spend the time to document the steps, right? If I wanted my team to think about my business for 16 hours, I would put it in the job spec. I would put it in the one-on-ones. You know what I mean? And I just thought if I did that, then that would be true. And that experience, although did make me a multimillionaire, I'm grateful for the experience. It also left me realizing that that's not enough. And oftentimes when people want to talk about SOPs and procedures and automation and scripts, they talk about the hands, right? They think, well, I'm just going to hire people and they're going to follow a checklist and they're going to do the work, right? And that's the hands part of it. And what I've discovered is that if I want to create a movement, which every person on this call, that's what you're called to do. Yes, you have a business. Okay. But I'm going to give you a little glimpse into the future of what we're creating together. Every person on this call has to define and create a movement. That is the only way that this game is played at a level. And all of you I've talked to, you guys have big dreams, big goals. Some of you guys want to 10x your revenue in the next 12 months. Awesome. Bring it. It ain't going to happen without creating a movement. So what I've discovered is we have to, yes, put automation, playbooks, process in place. But more importantly, we got to connect to the hearts, okay? And oftentimes I'll say it's hearts, not hands. The reason why is because it's through an individual's connection to your mission, to the heart, that you get their best work when they are not at work, okay? If I asked you all, when do you come up with your best ideas and creativity and resourcefulness and just all these things, it's actually not doing the work. It's at the gym, it's driving home, it's in the shower, it's all the stuff. And that's the heart. So, and this is why I treat my contractors inside all my companies like full-time team members. We invite them to the all hands, we add them to the Slack channels, all the customer wins. They're not a separate team. They're part of the team, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get their heart, and because that's where the real value is. So how do we do that? And this is what I want to share with you, Adam. What I've learned a long time ago is that if I don't understand my personal team, my direct reports, and then their leaders and everybody, if I have direct reports and I can't tell you what their 5-year goals are, professional and personal, then you don't have the leadership I'm talking about, transformational leadership. Here's why. Because the goal of every leader is to create a vision that's big enough for every person on your team's personal dreams and goals to fit inside of. Say that again. True leadership at the level we're talking about in this program, the way I coach, is that your vision has to be big enough for every person on your team's personal and professional goals and dreams to fit inside of it. Because if it's not, they will go find somebody who can make that true, and you will lose your best people. So Adam, that would, to me, I kind of reverse it, where I'm clear about my vision, but I need to know what their desires are for their lives. And then I connect the two, because I've learned a long time ago that if I can leverage their own personal selfish desires, we can find a better word for it, but that's just the way I think about it, that when I connect that, my desires and what I'm trying to build and what they want to personally do, then that makes the whole process, because I don't have to remind them all the time. I don't have to be upset that they're not connected to the vision, because they are selfishly for their own stuff, because they know by helping me. Let me give you a concrete example. So I hired a videographer once, okay, early days of my company. And I knew at scale, I was going to need a full kind of creative department. And I needed to find somebody that, yes, could do the work today, but long-term could grow into a position where they created this creative department and they could lead it. And I remember I was interviewing a bunch of people, and one of the candidates said to me, when I asked them, 5 years from now, this is the way I asked the question, 5 years from now, you wake up, wave a magic wand, and you're living your dream life, but we can't be working together. So we take that off the table, right? Describe to me in detail, where are you at? Who are you working with? What time are you waking up? What country you're living in? Like, just tell me about the life. Tell me about the profession. Tell me all about it. And this candidate says to me, I want to be the CEO of my own creative agency. And he literally starts describing to me what he wants to build, but it's exactly what I need him to build within my organization over time. And I'll tell you, in that moment, all things being equal, that was the guy. And that, to me, is how we get our team to connect with our vision, hold that vision true in their heart 16 hours a day. And if anything, we just got to remind them what they want to get out of their life. Like, the fun part for me is I'm not trying to remind people all the time about what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to remind them that they said they wanted to achieve certain things. And for that to be true, these things that we're doing together needs to happen. Right. And I think that's where it makes it a lot easier, and it connects to their intrinsic motivation. That's probably a better way to say it. Intrinsic motivation to drive results forward. And it's the heart, not the hands. Does that make sense, Adam?
Yep, absolutely nailed it. The action
Awesome.
item there is literally go back, talk to my people, get clear and more specific on their 5 years. We've got 1 year, we've got 3 years.
Yes, no, theirs. Yes.
Yeah, right.
And it's two levels: professional, personal. And I'll tell them, I want to know how much you're making. I want to know what your title is. I want to know where you're living. I mean, I had one of my team, I remember, I'll never forget this. She said, I want to have a bee farm. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, I'm going to make sure you have a bee farm. I don't know if I know bee farmers. I don't know where I'm going to find these people. But now that I know that's one of your goals, I will wake up every day to make that true, as long as you support the team and what we're doing. And it is a beautiful way to lead from the heart. I want to ask everybody to leave a comment in the chat. What connected for you? What resonated with Adam's question and our story? I want to hear from everybody in the chat. Love it. Add this to our team survey. Yep. I definitely recommend you do this for your one-on-ones. Yeah, surveys, one-on-ones is where I do it. And I probably do it once every 6 months with my direct reports, just to realign, reset. I want to know. I write it down. I save it. I want to know, where do you want to be in 5 years? It helps me create alignment. Awesome. Hearts, not hands. Adam, awesome. Stephanie, great. Jason, yes. Damien, perfect. Matt, all right. You guys are incredible. Thank you. Next level coaching right now. This is great. Sion, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, I think. You're up next.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, it's Kian, so the hard C.
Kian, you told me that on, I'm sorry. Kian, I'm going to get it this time.
That's okay.
It's
How can I help? Common that people mispronounce it, but thank you all the same. I hope you're well. What I wanted to ask you today, Dan, was how do you keep the belief when you're faced with a lot of negativity in the market, let's say, and how do you know when you should switch from one market to another? I feel that my vision is very clear. I feel like my belief in that vision is very clear, but I'm trying to follow one course until it's successful, the focus principle, and I'm just not sure, it's hard to keep the belief, really.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to check in with everybody. If you've ever struggled with holding some process, like some business, like if you've ever struggled with like, should I do this or should I do something else? Do I have the feedback? Just type focus in the chat. If you've ever had struggle with focus about, do I stay the course? Just type focus in the chat. Awesome. So the good news, Kian, is that you're amongst friends. This is a very normal problem. So I love this. Here's the way I think about it. Okay. And it's just a perspective. It's an invitation. I use customer feedback as the true North Star, right? Other people, I was chatting with a friend of mine that's going to be joining us, and her challenge, she said, over the years is she's always had mentors that pulled her different places than where her heart told her she wanted to go. And she didn't like it. She said, she literally told me, I used to think this and they said this, so I did this. And then I did this and somebody else said this and this and this and this. And my whole philosophy is the customer, I always work backwards from the customer. It's actually one of our core values in our company. And the key though is to be honest with the feedback. So this is where entrepreneurs have delusion. It's a superpower and it's kryptonite. Okay. What do I mean by delusion? Sometimes it's actually beautiful to be ignorant to how hard something's going to be, because if you actually knew how hard it was going to be to move forward, you probably wouldn't even start. When I opened up a US office in full corporation when I built my company Spheric in Bangor, Maine, on the East Coast of the United States, which was a 6.5-hour drive from where I lived at the time, because I wanted to sponsor my own visas, work visas in the US, because 90% of our customers are in the US, and it just became a pain in the butt. And I thought, you know what? I'll just go open up this new office and then I'll sponsor my own visas. And the process was probably 5 times harder than I initially assumed. And in that moment, ignorance was beautiful, because had I known, I wouldn't have done it. Okay. However, some people, ignorance, hard-headedness, stubbornness gets in their way. So when you're trying to move a path forward, the key is to actually do enough reps to get feedback to then assess if there's some path forward. And this is why we have coaches. This is why we have a group of peers. And I'm going to allow you guys to opt in to connect with each other to create your own like subgroups. It's not part of the program, but I want to make sure you guys all connect, because some of you guys should literally be best friends. Like I know you personally, and I'm like, you guys are just one conversation away from realizing you're cut from the same cloth. So it's really exciting. That is the key, Keon, is to make sure that you're being honest about the feedback you're getting from the market. Okay. But usually when I double click on this and people are struggling, it's either they're not doing enough reps, meaning they're not getting enough eyeballs on their idea, or they aren't being honest about the feedback they're getting from the customer or the market. Okay. And they have observer bias, right? I deal with this all the time in the software space, where people want to build software. I literally was talking to this is a $7 million a year CEO that does online coaching stuff, incredibly successful. They want to build a software product. They called me up. They're like, Dan, you would have the answer. I was driving the kids to school. I got on a phone call, and for 15 minutes, this person just tried to convince me that the idea was a good idea. That's not what I'm talking about. What you're trying to do is learn from other people in regards to what would need to be true for you to decide to move it forward. And I don't know. I'm just going to tell you the process to put the idea in front of the customer to then get feedback, right? Maybe it's 10, you do 10 sales calls. Don't change the offer, because that's another pitfall people make. They change the thing in real time. Instead of getting customer validation, they're selling. That is not what customer validation is. And if you do enough shots on goal and you're not getting the response, then yeah, you have to consider maybe it's either a pivot in the offer or pivot in the strategy, or it's and this is what happens most often. Some of you guys, I'm curious if you guys have ever changed your business to a place where after you made the business change, you might've been successful, but you didn't love what you created. Just type pivot in the chat. I'm just curious if you've ever changed your business to be successful to find out the thing that was successful didn't light you up. Okay. So that's the other challenge, is sometimes you'll make a pivot and you'll pivot into a place where you could be financially successful, but it doesn't light your heart on fire. And that's just the reality of it is. So that might be a decision of starting something new or really starting something new. But Keon, you got to talk to the customer, set a goal, have the same conversation, look for the feedback, if you're not selling, if you're not finding traction, you got to be honest with yourself and then decide if you're going to do a pivot or, we used to do this. I'll tell you a story. When we were building Clarity.fm, it was a marketplace for entrepreneurs to get advice over the phone. It didn't start off that way, right? The early days of Clarity, it was actually a productivity tool for phone calls. And in software world, a big part of what you're doing is you're on this search for repeatable, scalable process. And what happened, and one of the ways to do that in a mature way is to actually just call it out with your team so that they don't feel like you're uncertain about the future. So we created these meetings every 2 weeks called a pivot or persevere meeting. And every 2 weeks, we would talk openly as a team. Are we going to pivot the business or are we going to persevere? And many of the breakthroughs that we had from going from a productivity app to a marketplace, to how we designed the marketplace, to how we created the discovery, how we got the expert to promote their profiles, all came from a pivot or persevere meeting. But because we had already named it and it was a structure, nobody ever felt on the team that I was uncertain or anybody on the team was uncertain about the future. We were just certain about the process we were going to follow to find the answer. And that is often the game of business. Does that make sense, Keon?
Yeah, absolutely.
So based on what I shared, what's your commitment to the group, to me? What's one thing you're going to commit to doing? And everybody else, I want to hear from you in the chat. What did you take away? What did you like? What did you learn? Keon, what do you got?
I'm going to go do 10 sales calls in person. I've been doing them, cold calling them on the phone. And I think it's easy to kind of blow you off when you're just on the phone, but in person might be a bit different.
Yeah. And again, do enough. 10, see if you learn anything. Do another 10, see if you learn anything. It's volume of activity. And I'm not going to get into it today, but it'll be a core topic we unpack because it is one of the areas that a lot of entrepreneurs lack is volume of activity for success. And then they don't do enough and they worry, why isn't this working? They don't understand what it takes to be world-class or create at a high level performance. For Keon, everybody, let's give him some love. That's how we do it. Finger stretch, shaky shake. Awesome. If you guys got to drop off the call, I'm a over deliver kind of guy. I'm going to go a bit long and answer out Sarah, Chris's, and Shiv's questions. So we're going to keep this going. Sarah, you're up next.
Hello. Thanks for putting this together, Dan.
This is super fun. And I'm glad you're in it.
Fun. Yeah, me too. So my question is kind of similar to Keon's and a few other folks. It's really about like the negativity. So I'm currently going through a corporate divorce and it sucks horribly. And so I really would love like some clear tactics to stay closer to sort of the clarity of vision, clarity of belief, closer to that 100% during really hard times that are kind of out of my control. I can't control the other parties. I can't control the negativity that they are kind of bringing to the situation. And I'm finding that the level of negativity, I'm not accustomed to that. That's not how I function. It's not how I treat people. And I'm finding myself like paralyzed at certain moments and bogged down by things that I can't get out of. So yeah, any clarity or tactics that maybe you might suggest.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question, Sarah, and I appreciate the vulnerability and the openness to ask it. There's so many different ways of having negativity. When I look at my journey, and all of the challenges from, really early employees that were there from the beginning that underperformance, you got to let them go, right? Or a customer that you had crazy concentration risk in regards to your revenue lets you go, or the bank calling you up and saying, hey, you're upside down on some of these warrants and your terms, and they're calling your line of credit, to, you name it, I've been there. Lawsuit, everything. Not that I ever went to trial, but like definitely like threatening of lawsuit. I mean, we were building Flowtown, and we were 50,000 customers at the time, like a significant business. And we get the call from one of our investors that Facebook's changing their terms of service and our whole business is going to go to 0 in 3 months. So like, I just feel for you because I've been there on so many different levels. But let me share this. No pressure, no diamonds. And as much as it sucks in the middle of it, I'm also crazy excited for you because I know it's going to shape you in becoming somebody way bigger than you ever thought possible. Like from this, you will have one of the most epic stories, right? Because that's the beautiful part of it is, you know, at a high level, I always tell people, you know, my private clients, it's like our job is to heal ourselves and then to help heal others. I mean, at a high level, business is the most beautiful forcing function to become better. It's like the ultimate personal development program. And in these moments, you know, my brother, and I'll tell you a story because it's a perfect example. And he's shared this publicly, so I'm not sharing anything private, but he was building like a 32 unit apartment building in Miramichi. And for whatever reason, this is crazy. The elevator company that he purchased the elevator for this 32 units that people had already sold out, that he was already rented, that was supposed to open up on whatever day, went out of business. And I don't know if you guys know anything about buildings, but if you don't have an elevator, you can't open the building. And I'll tell you, it was beautiful and hard because I'm his brother. I love him, to watch him go through that. But I will tell you, and he will share the same thing, the level of resourcefulness that he came through, like he didn't go through it, he grew through it. Who he became on the other end of that is an unstoppable force. Like we all see Pierre today, my brother, and he's jacked, right? Like he's built, he's confident, he's sweet, he's got 2 little girls. And a lot of that came from that moment because he had to figure things out. It was in Miramichi and he's in Moncton, he's in St. John. He eventually hired my mom to be his driver because he needed to be in all these different places to deal with the craziness. And then all of a sudden that was beautiful because he spent a bunch of time with my mom. Right. And then he like finally drove to the elevator manufacturing company, like in Quebec, and like knocked on the door and found the people and who's got the equipment and like begged, borrowed, and steal to get it off the lot, to free it up, to get it to his build, to get it installed. Like, and I just, you know, and I've got thousands of those examples, right? So in hindsight, with time, with perspective, you're going to look back and go, that made me the person that today can deal with the level of challenges I'm facing that allows me to perform, right? When we go through that, I literally believe, and I'm going to offer this to everybody. This is the belief that we are given those challenges to become the person that we've been asking to become. And unfortunately, we don't get to become that person by everything being okay and rosy, right? When I crashed I got hit by a car, I don't know if you guys saw this on Instagram, but I got cut off and this van cut me off while I was training for a full distance Ironman. Okay. I trained for years. And in a flash of a second, I get cut off. And luckily, I didn't die, because if it was a little bit more turned in, I would hit the side of the van going 30 kilometers an hour. It would have been done. I went over the front of the hood, pulled out some ninja moves, a little bit of snowboard came into my favor, and tuck and roll. And it was actually miraculous. And it got it on video because it was in front of a pizza shop, and the cops pulled it off the security camera, and Renee saw it and asked for a copy. But unfortunately, they trashed my bike. So here I was, these bikes that you compete with. I mean, this is a very expensive carbon fiber bike, and it's 3 weeks before the race. And in that moment, I'm sitting on I'm literally on what's the pizza place in Shediac? It's right on Main Street.
Greco, I think.
Greco. I was sitting in the parking lot at Greco, and in that second, I made the decision. I will not entertain a conversation about not racing. Do not talk to me about this. It's not part of my vocabulary. I will not entertain it. The paramedics showed up and they're like, sir, you need to come to the hospital. I'm fine. I know myself. I'm fine. People are like, oh, maybe it's a sign you should slow down. Maybe you want to believe that. I ain't believing that. And I'm racing. Well, you don't have a bike. I will find a bike. There's no bikes available. I get that you don't think there's bikes available. I will find a bike. I will solve this problem. And I just decided that moment was not going to define if I was going to race or not. Because I also realized that it was in that moment, all the challenges I had prior to that created me to become the person who could deal with that at that moment. So it just sucks right now because you're in it. But on the back end of it, once you get through it, you're going to be so much stronger. That's why you're in this group. I mean, this is literally, I'm not surprised that you're here and we're having this conversation. And that will be the thing, just like the caterpillar goes through the cocoon to become the butterfly. In the moment, it doesn't know it's going to become a butterfly. You just got to trust in the process. I'm telling you, I only became who I am is because I keep doing hard things. I keep putting myself in positions to learn. The only time that it becomes detrimental is if you're not looking for the seed of opportunity to learn. But I don't think that's you. I know that's not you. I don't believe that's you. So you're definitely going to come out the other end. So that's the frame that I look at all challenges. It's almost like I'm like, game on. In this moment, I get to prove that I'm as good as I think I am. Sarah, do you think you're great?
I do. I think I'm fantastic.
I know you are. I know you are. I think you're a force of nature. And I think you're going to do some incredible things with your life. I think you were born to do amazing things with your life. And this is just part of the process. Now, tactically speaking, anytime I get in a funk, there is things I do. For example, I go to gratitude. I go to my big why. Okay. So if you don't have a crystal clear vision and a why, go create that and look at it and remember why you're showing up every day and who you're going to serve in the future. Right. Gratitude, the simplest things, right? Be grateful for the fact that your body self-regulates its heartbeat and its blood and all this stuff, like these simple things. It's not grateful for like, oh, I got what it's like. Literally, sometimes we got to be grateful for air that we get to breathe. Right. And then the third thing is always be of service of other people. When you are having a challenge, I will tell you from experience, because I do it quite often, I will either pick up the phone and call people to be of service, or I will drive myself to a place where people need my help and I will show up and be helpful. Because it is really hard to be in a pity party when you're serving other people. Right. And that's just part of my ethos. You guys probably saw on Instagram, we feed bunch of people in our community every Friday. My kids are involved and we've been doing it forever. It's part of, it's the giving and receiving. It's the law of reciprocity. So those are the three tactical things, but the big belief that I want to remind you is you're here to do something incredible with your life. And this moment is going to shape you to be strong enough in the future when it's going to count. You will be able to perform in that moment because of this. And you won't know until you get to look back and connect the dots. But that is part of the process. Does that help?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
What's the one thing you're going to commit to me? You're going to do?
I'm going to start doing gratitude daily. Yeah. Every morning. I'm
5-minute journals, my jam. I have no affiliation. I love Alex. He sponsors me indirectly. He sends it. Literally, I'm going to speak to a bunch of people in a rehab center and he's giving me 55-minute journals to gift. And I have a lot of love for him. So if you guys want a good gratitude journal, it's one of my faves.
Nice.
Sweet. Everybody else in the chat, I want to hear from you. Chris, thanks for posting in real time. All you guys posting in real time. Anything you're picking up. It's what's caught, not taught. Post in the chat. Let's go. All right. Chris and Shiv. Let's start with Chris. What do you got?
Yeah, I think you might have, first and foremost, thank you, Dan, for running this. Sarah, I've been part of a corporate divorce too, where, co-founder spun up a rival agency, poached some of my clients, and it was nasty. It was a really hard time, but, looking back years later, I know what to look for with partnership opportunities. I know the minefields and stuff like that, I'm actually thankful for now looking back. But Dan, thanks for putting this together. You answered, I think, partially my question that I was going to ask you. You mentioned when you notice yourself being at a 9 or 10 with holding that 10x version of yourself top of mind, noticing what that prompt was and doing more of that. I know it's super subjective, but I'm wondering what kind of things might have worked for you to tap into that space where you're pulling that future version towards yourself. If it's the gym or consuming content by the great masters, the gratitude, the big why, the crystal clear. Well, of course, it's the crystal clear vision, but a service to other people. If there are things that you've noticed, that puts me at that 9 or 10 for operating from that mindset.
So Chris, there's a lot of it and you touched on them. And here's the thing, is part of this coaching is also understanding the process that's going to unfold and allowing information to metabolize, right? So I start with the frame. Every call for the most part, I'm going to start with the frame to give you guys information, but I want to let you guys do the self audit, because if I give you an answer, what I typically see is people default to my approach, and that's not the right answer. The right answer is for you to do the audit, look introspectively, figure out what it is for you. And over the next few months, I will 100% show you guys some next level stuff you haven't seen from anybody in regards to the physical performance that attaches to the mindset that's going to allow you to perform and pull vocabulary when it counts. But I'm not going to get into some of those yet because A, I'd want to show it to you and we don't have time. And B, I need you to metabolize some of this stuff. Is that cool?
I think so. That definitely makes sense. I'm just searching for all the answers here.
Yes, and that's the thing. And this might be what you're here to learn, is sometimes we have to go slow to go fast. And that's a tough one for some people. The speed demons, they don't get that. They're like, give me the answer to the test. And what I'm saying is, it's not about the test. The principles and the process is where we're going to make the biggest gains. So if you're open to just allowing that being my answer, I know I didn't answer it, but you nailed on a few of them. I just really want you to go inward first. And in the future, if you feel like I haven't brought some of those forward, you can always ask me again. Is that cool?
Deal. Thank you.
Wicked. Awesome. For Chris, everybody, and Sarah, I'm not sure if we gave you some love, but I want to give you some love. Next up, final question from Shiv. What's up, Shiv?
Hey, Dan, good to see you. I think you answered some of this to Sarah's question, but maybe I have a slightly different take on it. Is I'm going through a personal divorce right now, and you mentioned this 10x version of yourself. I feel like I have been
10.0 version. Yes.
10.0 version of yourself. And I feel like I was operating at that level up until last year at some point, and for an extended period of time. And as this personal stuff has unfolded, it has been difficult to balance staying at that level of performance along with the major fires that come with something like this, and focusing on the business, health, fatherhood, and the actual complexity of everything that's going on. So I wanted to see if what your take would be on, maybe it's tactical or more just the principles around managing or at least being at that level when you're going through a heavy life transition like that.
Yeah. This is the little bit of tough love. Okay, Shiv, but that's why you're here. We all have enough time in our week to become the 10.0 version of ourselves. Okay. We all have it. I know this for a fact. I don't need to come live with you. It's there. The process for defining that is the perfect week strategy that I talk about in my book. Okay. And eventually once we build the habit tracking, these are non-negotiables. Once I give them to you, they're non-negotiables. They have to be followed. If you're not, you're essentially not following my coaching. But to serve you specifically, go back to the perfect week and start adding the stuff that you might be not doing that you used to do that would make you feel like the 10.0 version of yourself, right? Because you can probably point to a few of those things. And this is what happens often is when I work with high performers that get into a rut, I always go back to tell me about the time when you were crushing it. And then they tell me about it. I said, be specific. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your day. What were your routine? What were your rituals? How did you look at it? Who are you working with? What kind of stuff would you say yes to? What would you say no to? Like, be specific. And they tell me. Then I ask them that versus today, what's different? And usually they go, oh, well, this, from I'm drinking too much now. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not working out every day. I'm not reading the books I used to read. I'm not spending time with the people who used to like me, like whatever it is. And all we do is we just go back to the winning pattern and then we tweak. But to start, it's the perfect week, because in that perfect week, we will be able to allocate and see if we have a time constraint problem or we have a compliance problem. And that's the tough love. I just believe, and this may not be true. This is not for you, Shiv, but if it resonates, feel free to take it inside your soul and plant it in your heart. I just think some people are just not accountable to themselves enough, man. I just think that some people think that it's okay to not be consistent, and it's just not. You can't ask to be the 10.0 version of yourself and show up with a 2.0 attitude or a 2.0 momentum or 2.0 consistency or 2.0 energy level. Like, it requires you to do things that you don't want to do. I don't go to the gym because I want to go to the gym. I go to the gym because I know, A, who I get to become on the other side of that is who I want, and B, how it makes me feel serves my community, right? My sales team, when I do a call every month to kind of get them on fire, even though I have an incredible director of sales. I mean, I tell them, it's like, if you're not doing push-ups before your call, what are you doing? Why you're not managing your state. You're not managing your energy. You're not being accountable to yourself. Right. And I just think I'm not here to babysit anybody. I'm not, again, Shiv, I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying this for everybody else that needs to hear it. I'm here to hold you to a standard that you know in your heart you are underperforming at. And you know it because it wouldn't be there for you to know it if it wasn't true. Like, that's the beauty of our conscious. Okay. Our ego will remind us every day, if we reflect on the previous day, where we fell short. Literally, if you woke up, this is the most simplest personal development program in the world. Wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what decision or attitude or thing did I do yesterday that I probably shouldn't do? And today I'm making 100% commitment. I'm not going to do that. It could be screaming at somebody. It could be eating that thing you shouldn't have ate. It should be having 2 drinks. It should have been missing the, whatever it is. If we just wake up, check in with ourselves and our ego and go, what did I do yesterday that I know I shouldn't have done? And just for today, make a commitment. I will not do that. That is the simplest personal development program ever created in the history of the world. And that's what I coach a lot of the at-risk youth that I work with, right? They have drug addiction. They have major problems. We just make some small wins. But for us, we're all high performers on this call. It's the perfect week. And it's being honest about, are we showing up with the right consistency around that? And if we don't, then don't be surprised if we don't feel great, because like, motivation is a byproduct of making a decision when we don't want to make it. People think I got to feel to be motivated. No, action and activity is how we create motivation. Okay. It's fascinating to me, but that's, a lot of people misunderstand that. It's the activity that creates the motivation. We don't feel motivated first to then create the activity. Okay. So we just got to do that jump start. So yeah, perfect week, routines and rituals when you're crushing it, get back to those, be honest with yourself, hold yourself to a higher standard. Once we create the groups and we create the habit tracking, then it'll be evident very clearly who's doing it, who's not, and you'll be accountable to each other to create that support. Some of it is tactical and strategy, and I'll unpack a lot of that in regards to, like, how do you eat really lean and mean clean when you're traveling, to, how do you cut negative people out of your life? We'll dive into that stuff. But yeah, the big thing is just honor the calendar, design the calendar, and be consistent. That's how we create the 10.0 version of ourselves. There's no person in the human face of the earth that ever created something magical that you would admire that didn't have proper habits and consistency and showed up every day. It's just part of it. Does that make sense, Shiv?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
I love it. Appreciate the question. Everybody post your biggest takeaway in the chat. Yeah, let's give some love to Shiv. I love it, Patrick. Thank you for bringing that. Awesome. And I want to ask everybody, the gift back to me today went a little long. I apologize, but I want to make sure I got you guys served. Post in the chat. What was the biggest thing out of all the stuff you wrote down? Some of you guys have pages of notes right now. And if you feel free to take a picture and send me a message, I'd love to see these. Some of you guys are the most beautiful note takers in the world. But just type in the chat, what is the one that you needed to hear the most today? What resonated with you? What did you love? What did you learn? In the chat, please. I love it. Thanks, Colin. Creating a movement. Yes. Hold the vision. Yes. Trevor. Bonnie, heal ourselves to heal others. That is, I'll be digging into that in a big way. That's a big part of what we're doing. Thanks, Colin. I love that. Take a picture, send me a message. You guys are allowed to do that. Send me, I'd love to see them. I am called to create a movement. Yes. Yeah. Caitlin, this is good. All right. Beautiful. All right. With that, appreciate you guys all for being here. Have an amazing rest of the day. I'll see you guys next week. Peace. Later.
See you.